Hey guys, happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, the 1st of November. I can't believe it's November 1st, 2018. We finally finished Ted-tober, which was last month. I'd roll into Ted-vember, but I have to share Thanksgiving with people. I am here today with my friend, the beautiful and talented Candice Czaplak. Did I do it?
Yes, you did.
All right.
You said it right.
All right, so let us know you can hear us and see us. It's always my biggest concern. I see people coming on. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a heart. Hey, Chris, what's up? We just want to know that you can hear us or see us because Candice has some great stuff to talk about today. Hello, Mr. Gilbert, Mr. Oberman. Good to see you guys. All right, thank you for that, Mr. Gilbert and Chris. So welcome. I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thanks for having me.
I know. We've been trying to do this for how long? It's all my schedule. It's not yours.
A month or two.
It's been insane.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit about you because I don't know if you saw what I posted, but the show we're going to discuss about how to light your entrepreneurial fire. And you've got so much to talk about on that side of it. But give us a little background. They always like to hear a little bit about Candice.
A little bit about Candice. Okay. Well, I grew up in Western New York originally, so I'm a transplant to Florida, like most of us here,
most
right?
people.
Most of us. Happy to get away from the snow. It was Buffalo area, Niagara Falls, Buffalo, Niagara Falls.
Too cold.
Yes, way too cold. And I always say, and this is hard to say, but I don't have to shovel sunshine, which is nice.
Oh, I like that. I don't have to shovel. We should hashtag that.
Yeah.
That's good.
No shoveling sunshine.
shoveling
It's hard though if you say that too many times.
I'm afraid of what I would say. Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah, it can end badly. So that's where I grew up, Western New York, and went to college there. Went to University of Buffalo.
Nice.
Couple of degrees. I started in advanced psychology when I was in high school, actually. Had the opportunity to do that and do an internship.
And is that what you went on to do at college?
Yes.
Wonderful.
So my first bachelor's degree is in psychology, and then my second bachelor's degree is in health and human services. It was actually community mental health. It's a social science interdisciplinary.
We share that. That's what my master's degree is in.
Oh,
Health Services Administration with a focus on community health and nonprofit.
All right.
So
Very
two
good.
bachelor's degrees. Why
Yes.
two?
I don't know. It just made sense. I was a glutton for punishment.
I love when you don't know, and the answer is,
honestly,
I don't know.
It was a lot of the courses overlapped, so I could get two degrees and kind of round myself out without having to do an extra 4 years, of
Right.
college, which was good. So I did that. Worked all through half of high school, really, and college started working when I was 15 years old. My father was an entrepreneur and still is to this day, so I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family and had the opportunity to work for both of those businesses.
So from entrepreneur, why to psychology?
I love psychology. It's my passion. I've always been really interested in, why people do what they do, and emotions and behaviors and how people interact and all of that, and then getting into like brain science things. When I was getting my bachelor's degree, I had the opportunity to work under a world-renowned professor in the area of social conflict and negotiation. Dr. Pruitt, he's social conflict. Yeah. So my social psychology was my primary forte. And I ended up coming underneath him to do an honors thesis, which is more or less like a master's thesis.
Sure.
In undergrad. So with the thesis defense and everything, and I, wrote a paper on it and all of that stuff. So I don't know.
What did you want to do? What is it that you wanted to do once you had your degrees? What was the goal?
Well, at the time, my focus has always been on helping people, but at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I mean, I was doing a lot of things. I worked in psychological research, and of course, waitressing and a bunch of other stuff, and I played volleyball at the collegiate level and also in community leagues, and so I was all over the place and doing a ton of different stuff. I knew I wanted to help people, and I followed psychology because it was more of an intellectual passion for me. I'm very curious and very driven to learn and understand things, so that's a key value for me, and that's what drove me.
And then when you got out, did you practice?
Well, yes. I did an internship for the Health and Human Services for a nonprofit in Western New York. And I ended up staying on with them after.
Good.
And working. I wanted to go to graduate school. Wasn't sure if I wanted to do master's or PhD, but I wanted to take a little time. It was a little over 5.5 years of undergrad to get both of those degrees,
Sure.
plus, working 2 jobs full time and all of that. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take a break and see what happens. And so I stayed on with them, and I ended up running a girls group home, a boys group home, and a non-secure detention facility for troubled kids in New York that were, Western New York this is, that were remanded to the state due to truancy or drugs or issues with their, family issues with their parents, whatnot.
And so how long did you stay in that? Because see, since I've been in that field, it has such a high burnout rate. You realize that you are constantly in crisis management mode,
Yes.
and it's very difficult to make an impact that's a lasting impact.
Yes.
And so your brain and your heart and your soul get super tired of that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you're not being paid anything.
Yes.
You're
yes.
working for pennies on the dollar.
Yes. All of these things were true for me. So I want to say it was almost 2 years. But yeah, I burn out fast, and I'm on I had a pager with me all the time.
A pager.
A pager. I know I'm dating myself. I don't look like I could
pager.
possibly be that old, do I, Ted?
I love it.
Yeah.
Did you have to stop at a payphone when you got paged too? Right. That's what people did. My kids think I'm crazy when I talk about that.
It wasn't quite that long ago. I mean, I can remember using a payphone. But no, in the 3 a.m. calls, because one of your girls tried to commit suicide, and meeting him at the hospital. So real true heart for helping people, but I realized I wasn't able to have the impact that I wanted to,
Yep.
and it wasn't the best fit for me because I'm a lot more action oriented than I am. God only gifted me with so much nurturing capacity, great, huge desire to help people, but as far as that, nurturing abilities, I only have so much.
And you wanted to make the impact.
Yes.
And the problem with that particular industry, the social services industry, is that it's a whole bunch of hurry up and wait.
Yes.
And then it's a wait and a wait.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you're trying to make decisions at last minute because you have money to spend. It's the
Yes.
weirdest scenario on the planet.
And when you're dealing with the state, I mean, there's a ton of red tape too.
Yep.
Like I did an internship with Child Protective Services, and I was mortified. I mean, I'm trying to help these parents not abuse their children.
Yep.
But
Say
then
that
the
out
state
loud a
just
few
sends
times.
them back.
Yeah,
So
I
it
used to
was
serve
very
on the
frustrating.
TPR, the Termination of Parental Rights Committee,
Oh.
and after a year, they finally asked me to leave. Why? Because I wanted to terminate everybody's parental
Yeah.
rights, and
Yeah.
everybody was about reunification, and all I could think about was, okay, they haven't changed, so you're sending the kid back into the same scenario that brought him here the last 10 times we've talked about that child.
Yep.
Yeah, it's enough to make anybody's heart break, and then your whole like, what am I doing here? But with your entrepreneurial spirit, I'm sure, on top of all of that,
Yeah.
you were trying to figure out, okay, how can I still make an impact,
Yes.
but still allow myself to do the things that I know that I'm good at,
Yeah.
that I can make
Yeah.
change.
And honestly, my whole journey, and we can't really get into all of it here because we only have so much time, but everything I've done from that point in time up until now, with the different businesses I've started, all the different jobs that I've had, that's what's created this new Thrivers movement that I'm working on. And finally, after 40 some odd years, on this planet of trying to figure things out, I feel like I'm pointed in the right direction that really resonates with not only my passions, but my true genius and true gifts. And that's what Thrivers is all about, is helping other people do that.
I love
to
that.
figure out what it is that they really want to do, what they're gifted to do, and help them live that out, like break out of the status quo and the molds and the stories that we've allowed to shape us from everyone else's perspectives and opinions, and tune back into who am I and what do I really want, and what are my gifts and passions, and how am I really supposed to be using them in the world to help people.
Well, I think a lot of people, so hi Kim Johnson, by the way, I wanted to give you a shout out. I think a lot of people have never voiced or actually discussed or said out loud what their passion is, what their why is. And I think a lot of people would look at you, because I just lectured on this at Valencia last night, if you can believe it. So I asked the students, what's your why? And they just looked at me like I was talking Greek.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't matter what age group, a lot of times we've talked about it, we've gone in a career, but we've never voiced exactly what it is. And if you sit down and think about it, it can be a little daunting because maybe it challenges what you're actually doing in your life as opposed to what you're supposed to be doing or want to do.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm trying to fix with Thrivers. I really want to be able to transform the way we think about and the way we do life, work, learning, and leadership. The old ways, they don't work anymore. And we're not encouraging our young people to dive into themselves. Like, what are your gifts? What are your strengths? What do you enjoy? Life isn't supposed to be a struggle, and neither is work. And the fact that like 80% of people in the US alone go to jobs every day that they hate, and they don't feel engaged in, and they don't feel fulfilled with, that's a problem.
Well,
I mean, that's really a problem, and I want to fix it.
I think that's why I have so much unhappiness. And thank you, Luke. Luke says, beautiful young lady in the blue.
Well, thank you, Luke.
Thanks,
Hi.
Luke. I think people are walking around miserable.
Yes.
And that's the conversation that I think people are afraid to have, because once you admit that you're miserable, then it's on you. And you have to try to figure out the action plan to get out of it, because then you can't really justify continuing to complain about it once you've realized that you're unhappy.
Yes. And that requires us to, frankly, get outside of our comfort zones, and that's not easy. It's not easy, it's difficult. And that's why I want to bring people together with Thrivers, is so that we can support each other in doing that. Because we're better together. And this isn't something that happens. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I do not have it all figured out. This is I mean, it's a journey, it's an evolution, and it is still ongoing for me. Every day I wake up and try to cultivate and maintain the right attitude and mindset that I need, that's going to serve me and serve everybody that I come into contact with.
So what are some of the first steps that, like, when you're talking to someone and they're saying, all right, Candice, I'm ready to thrive. I'm ready to be a thriver. I'm ready to be part of Thrivers.
Yes.
What are some of the first steps or first questions that you ask, or that you should ask yourself when you're trying to make that next step and admitting, all right, I'm not in the right place. What do I need to do to figure out how to get there?
Well, that's the first thing, I think, is being okay with it not being all okay, right? The first step is admitting it and being willing to see that you do desire more, that you want more joy, you want more happiness, you want maybe more income, maybe you need a shift in your career, you want to do your own thing, but you're afraid to leave your steady job, or to leave the safety and security of healthcare or benefits or whatever it may be, right? The first thing is to open yourself up to the possibility that there could be something better. And a lot of it is deciding that you deserve it.
Right.
And acknowledging that you deserve it. And you do. Every single person on this planet deserves to be happy. And they deserve to thrive. It's not supposed to be a struggle and, this hard thing.
Why do we make it so hard? Is it because we listen to other people, because the narrative that we have, the story that we have in our minds as to why we are the way we are, or the things that we're supposed to be doing, or the things that people have told us that we should be doing at a certain age? Is that what causes that?
That's a ton of it. It's really a ton of it. We're living out everyone else's stories. We're not living our own. We're not taking the time to go inside to figure out what it is that we want. And we grow up and society bludgeons that out of us. Well-meaning parents and advisors and, professors, and even just take school, right? What does it equip us to do? It's kind of sit down, shut up, and do what you're told. We don't ask kids in school what do you like to do?
Well, the teachers are, so everything is in such order. They're required almost to not teach. I heard somebody recently say, I was told in a meeting that I'm not a teacher anymore, I'm a facilitator. And there is something so wrong.
But what are we facilitating? We're facilitating someone being able to get
test
a certain
scores.
score on a test.
It's literally test scores.
Now, so
money.
Why don't, with education and learning, why don't we shift the conversation to how can I facilitate these individuals learning more about who they are and helping them become thriving members of society that contribute and help people and have a positive impact and do what they love in the process, right? So yeah, facilitators, but we're facilitating the wrong things. And even the teachers that are trying to teach, it's difficult. And I'm not, I'm not bashing teaching or anything, but it's just,
it is difficult.
At every stage. So that's young people. So we don't get exposed to that as young people. And well-meaning parents, we can only, our vision is only what we've seen generally, right? So when you're thinking about what career do I want to have? What do I want to do for work? Our first place that we go to in our mind is what we've seen before and what we know.
Correct.
So maybe you have this, calling to be an entrepreneur, but if you didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial household, you don't have any frame of reference. You don't have a modeling point with which to go from.
That's true.
And so we have to be able to seek that out.
Right.
We have.
But people don't know where to go.
They
So
don't.
when somebody comes to you and says, all right, Candice, I know I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And you're obviously there at a role. You have a function. You're going to help them. You're going to coach them. You're going to get them to where they can go to the next level. But people don't have maybe the resources. Do you help them find them? Is that what Thrivers is about? Talk a little bit about the process.
Well, so, and yes, I do, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, where I'm looking to move Thrivers towards and building towards is, I do a lot with questionnaires and assessments. So I'm a certified DISC facilitator. Some of you may know what that is, a behavioral styles assessment.
Well, what are you? What are you on DISC?
Do you have to ask?
High I? Is that I? No?
Yes. No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm high I. Yeah.
Me too. I think I only have
surprise,
eyes.
Surprise!
There's only eyes on my
You're
disc.
Like off
There's
the
none
chart
of the rest
eye.
of it. There's nothing left except eye.
You can just tell that right from your outfit.
I can give you, exactly. I can give you a great idea, but God, I don't know how to implement it.
But the idea is great.
The idea is really good.
Yes, and you'll inspire them to go do it.
I will totally inspire you to go do it.
Yeah. So I work a lot with DISC, and that's good. And I have a Thrive formula. So I have a whole Thrive formula that I work with, which is basically it's understanding and relating well to yourself, understanding and relating well to others, understanding and relating well to your environments that you're in. So that's like the other people, right down to your office, your car. Is that supporting your success or not? All the way up to like if you're in your business or your work context, right? What political climate or economic climate do we need to be considering? So, macro to micro for the environments. And then the biggest key is that understanding and relating well to yourself. And then the last piece of it is the second most important, which is cultivating and maintaining the right attitude and mindset. So I'm an NLP master practitioner, and that's where we work a lot with those beliefs and the stories and what we're telling ourselves and just being able to open yourself up to new possibilities and ask, well, what if this did work? What if I could wave a magic wand and have what I really want? What would that look like? So it's a lot of asking the right questions to get people. When we ask ourselves better questions, we end up creating better situations.
But aren't we fearful in general? Don't you think people, I feel like people are afraid sometimes to ask questions because they're afraid of the answers.
That's true. And fear is a big biggie, right? And really what it all boils down to is facing those fears, what we're afraid of, and being able to work with them and reframing them so that we can see things in a different way. I could be fearful about getting on this live, afraid that someone out there is going to be judging me.
They're judging us. Don't get me wrong.
Well, yeah. But their opinions of me is absolutely none of my business.
Right.
You have to do you, and and just come from a very authentic and empathetic place, and I think things work out for themselves. But so with the Thrive formula, so I take the Thrive formula, but then, and I have my coaching programs and I speak, But where I'm shifting towards is I'm working right now on creating a whole online program for people, which walks them through all the steps of the Thrive Formula, walks them through all of the different assessments that I do, which just helps them have a frame of reference,
Right.
a mirror, so to speak, to say, okay, this is who I am, and then once we can put some concrete framework to that, to what your gifts, talents, and abilities, and just natural like brain wiring and things like that are, what I like to call your personal genius. So we figure out what your personal genius is, and once we have that, and you've bought into that, then we can start to have the conversation, okay, what shifts can we begin to make so that you're living more on a day-to-day basis in your personal genius? And that's when fulfillment scores go
Sure.
up, and stress goes down, and joy improves, and your relationships get better, and everything just gets better with that. when you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Doesn't it take the person though being honest in those assessments?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just going to tell Candice what you think she wants to hear,
Mm-hmm.
or the story that you've always been told, and you don't really think through the questions, then the questions are not it's not going to help you
Correct.
move to the next level, or to figure out what your, I love that, personal genius.
Mm-hmm.
I've never used the word genius around myself, so I really like that. I'm going to use it. Personal genius. And I love that, because I think that if people are honest, vulnerable, authentic, then you can really get to the nitty gritty and the meat of
Yes.
where you're supposed to be. One of the
Yes.
slides I had yesterday on the presentation, it was a guy on his deathbed, an old man, and it said, "I finally realized what I want to do with my life." And I said to the students, do you really want to be there? And finding that out, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
want to be here? And now
Yes.
you have an opportunity to do it.
Yes.
So I love the fact that you give them the assessments, because I think that also allows them some introspective time where they can actually think about it. They don't feel like they're on display.
Right.
And so when they've given it, you're giving them back real statistics or real information that is just a reflection of what they've shared.
Yeah,
Which I love.
absolutely. Hi, Neil, by the way.
Oh, hi, Neil. I love some Neil. How you feeling, Neil?
Yes, he's a buddy of mine from Podfest.
Podfest.
So, yes, Podfest.
Hi, Eddie. Yeah, Neil has been, I haven't seen him in forever. He hurt himself. Playing soccer. You're too old for that, my friend. I love you, but calling you out. So what do you do? What's the end goal with Thrivers? Do you take somebody, and if they do all the things, let's say they're authentic, they're vulnerable, they're open to the process, do you envision them then making that change, or making those changes in their life in order to get to the next level, or whatever that
Yes.
looks like for them?
Whatever it looks like for them, yes. Whatever improvement looks like for them. So the thing is, what do we want to experience more of in our life? And set ourselves up to experience that. Is it more joy? Is it more freedom? Is it, what is it? Because, and it's okay to want more than what you have. It's okay to want
Say
better.
that again, because people don't believe that, because they've been told their whole life, don't be greedy.
Yes, yes.
You
But
can't be
I
greedy
say-
with your own,
Yeah.
the things that you want in life. I don't think that's a greedy thing. So
No.
you can want more. I
Yes.
love that.
And you can want better for yourself, and it's okay to do that. And we hold ourselves back a lot of times because we're afraid of our family or our friends, or I have children, you have children, right?
Yep.
We're afraid of all these things, but at the end of the day, the people who love you want the best for you, right? Like and your
They do.
relationships get better when you get better.
Correct.
When you feel better and you're not stressed, you'd be amazed what changes around you.
And I also think it helps identify some of the relationships that aren't really good
Yes.
for you. So
Yes.
the toxicity that's there, when you really begin to evaluate, we did a whole show on just because they're with you doesn't mean they're for you.
Correct.
So if you're surrounding yourself with people, sometimes identifying and then beginning to make the steps shows you the true colors of the people around you. Are they supportive? Do they really love you? Do they really want you to do better? Do they want you to grow?
Absolutely.
And then that becomes a whole nother decision-making process in your life, how much of that you're going to allow.
Right. Which is why the Thrive formula is worked into that, because you have, you understand relate well, which is honoring yourself, but then also taking a look at those environments and those other people. What environments are you putting yourself in that aren't serving your success, that aren't serving your joy and aren't serving your fulfillment? And what other people do you have in your life that are not serving your success or are not serving your fulfillment? Whether it's an employee or a, business partner or a friend, whatever it may be, but you have to take a look at all of those things, because when you maximize all those areas, yourself, other people, the environments that you're in, and then you work every single day, day in and day out, like mastering this whole mindset piece, the attitude and mindset is a moment by moment process. So you said, what's the next steps with Thrivers once they've done that? What does it look like? Well, the self-awareness piece is the first part of it, and I use the assessments to walk them through that to help them figure it out. And there's a ton of other ways that we can get into other than the questionnaires, but that self-awareness is the key part. Then authenticity. So then it's like, how can I live out my true strengths and use my personal genius for my betterment? And then that attitude and mindset piece, it's a group effort.
Right.
So I have the course, but I don't want, well, that'll be coming, but I don't want that to be the end. Ideally, what I want to do is build a community of Thrivers. And it's a free community right now, very large community, but eventually, I'm looking to make that a little bit more intimate, and where all of us that are out there thriving, like making the decision that we're not just going to survive in our lives, but we're dedicated to thriving, where we can all come together and support other people in helping them thrive with regular, inspiration, motivation, how to maintain that attitude and mindset. If you're feeling down in the dumps and you need some place to go fill your cup, I want Thrivers to be that place where you can go in and say, hey, I had a really crappy week this week. This happened, that happened, and boom, there's like 10 other people responding to you to show you the love and help shift you
in a
back into
positive way.
to shift you back to thriving. And then with that as well, one of the key people that I want to impact with Thrivers, being an entrepreneur myself, of course, is entrepreneurial change agents. So as the movement grows and word travels, I'm looking to bring in as many other fellow change agents, do-gooding, entrepreneurially minded folks that are out there making a difference for other people as a part of their, work.
Right.
And then making the Thrive Formula programs and the course and everything available to them so that they can use it in their work with others, which will help me expand my positive impact through Thrivers by pouring into those change agents and hopefully with the change agents leveraging the tools and the resources of Thrivers to just create that ripple effect and reach more people in more areas.
All right, so we're going to share all of Candice's, see how fast it goes?
Yes.
Candice's contact information, how you can reach out to her, how you can get involved in Thrivers, how you can listen to the podcast. There's so much that Candice has to offer, so we'll share all of that, all of the ways that you can reach out to her. Any parting words of wisdom for them before we head out?
Do you really, you have one life to live. Don't live it for anybody else. Live it for yourself. That's what we're here to do. And the more you care for yourself and honor yourself, the more you'll be able to care for, honor, and pour into other people. I know you, Ted, and I know the type of people that you tend to attract. And so I know everyone listening to this has a true heart for helping other people.
Yes.
And those of us that enjoy pouring into others don't necessarily do what we need to do to pour into ourselves.
True.
And to take care of ourselves.
True.
So take care of yourself. You deserve to be successful and you deserve to fully thrive. And don't let anybody else tell you that you don't, because you deserve it. You just have to choose it. You have to make that decision and make that choice and keep choosing you and what serves you every day in every situation. And you'll thrive.
All right. you're going to thrive. All right.
Yes.
Thank you for being on. I appreciate it.
you.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was so
All
much
right. We
fun.
love you guys so much. We will see you back here. Tomorrow's Friday, which I can't believe. We have 2 shows tomorrow. Jeff Reyes and Rodney Bailey. Both have a unique perspective. We'll see you guys. Thanks for being on.
All right.
Love
Bye.
you guys.
Mwah.